Good evening. This is the fourth of my nightcap notes, and this week we're travelling across the Pacific from Japan last week. We're going to the United States and looking at Woodford Reserve double oaked bourbon, Kentucky straight bourbon. Now I've written down some notes to make sure that we understand what bourbon is, particularly Kentucky straight bourbon. To be bourbon, it has to be made in the USA and must be produced from at least 51% corn, and most of them are around 65 to 75%, and this one they reckon is at 72% corn. And it must be stored in a new barrel of charred oak. To be a straight bourbon, it must be at least 2 years in that barrel. And of course, to be a Kentucky straight bourbon, it must be distilled in Kentucky. I read somewhere there are more barrels of bourbon in Kentucky than there are people. And as the population of Kentucky is about 4.5 million, that's a hell of a lot of barrels. I've been very lucky to have been to the Woodford Reserve distillery, and this photo is me outside the Woodford Reserve distillery in Kentucky, and here is the tasting held around a barrel. So there were 3 people around the barrel, each with 2 different whiskies to taste. Lovely stuff. Let's get on with the tasting. The Woodford Reserve double oaked Kentucky straight bourbon. And the first thing to note is that beautiful deep copper colour. Some people would probably say mahogany, but lovely colour. Just looks great, smells great too. We've got roasted peanuts in there. Probably that's the charred oak that's coming through. Almost like polished leather. You know, if you take polish to the leather, it can smell like that, corn with syrup. Lovely stuff. Oh yeah. It's a little bit prickly because it's about 54%, but there's vanilla and caramel, really sweet, spicy oak. Oh, that's really easy sipping. And the finish is rich and complex. There's a hell of a lot going on in there, mainly because they've put it in the second barrel. A dash of white pepper maybe? Anyway, it's fabulous stuff. It's an enjoyable experience. And I reckon this is as good as it gets in regards to bourbon. Cheers. Lip smacking stuff.